that I use in my business every single day. Tools such as free online things such as Google Docs and Google Apps to things, various apps that I use on my iPhone and my iPad. How many of you have a smartphone in here? Okay, so almost all of you. And how many of you have an iPad or a tablet of some sort? Okay, very good. Of the people who have your iPad and a various tablet, how many of you actually use it for business? Okay, yeah. It's very interesting. Yesterday I was in a class. The company that does IT work for me put on this class for all of their clients about iPads. And I'm one of those. I have an iPad. I use it a little bit in my business, but I don't use it greatly. I rely on my iPhone for most of the tools. And it was very interesting. In the whole class, there's 50 people in there, and the instructor asked, how many of you use it for your business? There's 3 people that actually got their hand up and said, yeah, I use it for my business. The rest of them, like myself, I just play games on it. So we're going to talk about a lot of the apps that are out there today that you can use on your iPhone, Droid phone, some on BlackBerry, and also Droid or iPad-based tablets as well. So the first thing is we're going to talk about the various apps, and this is just a small list of the various apps that are out there today that we're going to cover. So follow along, ask me questions, but these are the things that I use, and I jump all over the place. So from one second I'll talk about something that's really good for sales, another one that's good for doing your taxes. So I'm all over the place. I just like to keep things moving during my classes. But please ask me any questions that come up. So the first thing that I use in my business pretty much every single day is Google Docs. The reason Google Docs are really useful for me is because a lot of us use Microsoft Word, Excel, Access database for our business every single day. But this is a free solution from Google. So Google Docs gives you a word processing system. It gives you a spreadsheet. It also gives you a database program that you can use that pretty much makes it easy that you could share the information and that you can be out there, on the road, on your iPad, on your iPhone, on your computer, accessing those documents at all times. It also makes it very easy for sharing those documents. So let me give you an example. So one of the Google Docs that I have is I have a list of my preferred contractors, and it's a quote-unquote, a Word document. And I'm able to share that with my entire team. So I have 3 buyer's agents plus 3 full-time staff. And what I'm able to do is I'm able to give them permission. They all have Gmail accounts or Google accounts. I'm able to give them all permission to take a look at my documents. And so that's one of the documents that we all have access to that we're constantly updating. So let's say there's a new handyman that we want to add to the list. One person can add it, and it's there for everyone to see. And so it makes it very easy to edit documents. It also makes it very easy to store documents. So you can store your documents in Google Docs, and then you can access it from pretty much anywhere you want to access it from. So I could do it here from my phone. I can do it here from another computer. All I have to do is just log into my Gmail account or into your Google account. Yes, question?
I'm fairly good with technology, but I really have a question about this. Is this a program where, for instance, I have on my smartphone, I have an Android-based smartphone. On this, I have on my little micro mini SD card, I have my rental application. I have a purchase agreement. I can't get the doggone thing out of there. It was written on a Word program. Mm-hmm. Does this coordinate with those types of docs so that I can pull it off of my phone and email it to people?
So yes, it does. So what Google Docs can do, and that's one of the things, since it's a Word document right now, what you'd have to do is pretty much copy it and then paste it into a Google Doc.
That's my question.
Once you paste it in there and you save it, it's there. The other useful thing is you could have a link. So Google Docs can create a link that you can share with anyone. So you can say, hey, so let's say someone emails you and says, hi, you need a rental app for this property. You can respond back by saying, here's a link to the rental app. So you're not attaching anything. They're going to the link from their computer. They're accessing that document. They can print it off. They can fill it out there through Google Docs and then print it off and email it to you. So I think that will solve your problem.
So this is a mobile program. It does not overlap with Word. I have to somehow take my Word documents, put them into this Google Docs, and then send somebody a link to access them.
Correct. And that's one of the solutions. We're going to talk about one other solution that might help you.
Okay.
Yes?
To the Google Docs, the question I have, because I try to, when I access it, I only have like 3 or 4 in there. When I'm out on the road and I use my repo codes as a doc here, why does it take so long for it to load up? Is that the service problem? Or is that your phone problem? That's what I'm asking.
It's a phone problem,
Okay.
and it may also be, do you have lots of images in your documents? No.
No,
It could be a phone problem, as well as it could be just a network that you're on.
I got it.
And the time of day.
Because I wondered about that, because I know everybody's into this, so I'm thinking, okay, if you get a list of things on your docs, if you're out somewhere trying to pull it up and you're like, dun, 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 you could drive home and get it quicker, so.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is just one of the solutions for mobile. This is one of the solutions for mobile. We're going to talk about one other solution that a lot of people use. It just depends what your business is and what you really want to concentrate on. But the best thing is this is free, and this is a tool that's out there for you. I got a brand new computer about a year ago, and I did not load Microsoft Office on it. I decided I didn't want to spend the money. I was too glued to Microsoft Office. It was a program that was on my computer. I didn't want to do it anymore. So I switched along with myself, and as I'm converting all the computers in my office, we're switching to Google Docs primarily. Just because it's a free program and it has all the tools that we need. Now, obviously, if you are a power user of Word and Excel, it doesn't have absolutely all the capabilities. It's getting better. But in my opinion, if you're wasting money today on buying Microsoft Office, you shouldn't, because there are many free solutions out there. Don't waste the money on it. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is Zavni. Who here uses Outlook for their email? Okay, so a lot of you. Who here is frustrated with searching for your emails? Okay, some of you. This is, a couple of years ago, so I use Outlook in my office. A couple of years ago, I ran into a problem where I need to search through an email because I need to find something very specific, or an email from a client, and I was having a hard time finding those emails. Just because I have 26 gigs of email, so it takes a lot to search, and Microsoft itself says if you have over 5 gigs of email, their search is mostly useless. Now, they've made it better for the 2010 version of Outlook. If you have an older version, it gets even worse. So the best way for me to show you Zavni is to look at an inbox. So this is my inbox here. I have my folders, I have my messages. So Zavni is an app that's added on the very right-hand side of Outlook. And so what it does here is, so let's say I get an email from Amy. I open up that email from Amy, and along with her email, Zavni produces this box. What it does is it goes to various social media websites, as well as it searches all the old emails that Amy has sent me, and it populates with her name, all the email addresses that have been associated with her, as well as all the phone numbers. So it could be that she's in my directory, or it could be that she's written down her phone number in her email. So it populates that information. Then it goes into LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and every single other social media outlet to pull up a photo for Amy. And it populates the photo. So for instance, the best thing for me is sometimes I get emails from clients that say, hey, I'd like to take a look at this house, or are you interested in listing my home? I, at that point, know what they look like. So one is I can find out, have I seen them out in the community? Or two, when I'm meeting with them, I actually know who they are ahead of time, and I can identify them. So that's just some of the part. Then it gives me what her position is, and this is populated through LinkedIn. It also gives me all the social media that she's a part of. So I can read through, see what her latest status messages have been on Facebook, on Twitter, or on LinkedIn, if Amy has any. Then it gives me any context that I share with Amy. Once again, it goes through social media and says, who are my contacts, or who have I emailed in the past that's associated with Amy. So did I copy someone on the email to Amy? So it kind of tells me what contacts are out there. The other big part is it gives me all the conversations. So it bulks all the conversations that I've had with her. So let's say I sent her an email that said, hey, do you want to have lunch? She responds back, yes, I'm available these days. I respond back by saying, these are the days that I'm available, and we go back and forth. What it does is it puts all those emails into conversations that I've had with Amy. So I can just double click on a conversation that I had with her. Let's say I started a conversation lunch, and I forgot what time I said earlier, and it'll pull up all of the emails that I've had with Amy in regards to our plans to have lunch. And then this is the tool that I use the most. How many of you send an email to someone with an attachment and then you can't find that attachment but you remember the person you sent it to?
Yeah.
It happens to me every single time. So I know I sent an email to Amy and I attach something. It also says, here are all the files that I've sent to Amy and that she has sent to me. So it populates all of this information for me. And this tool is free. There's a premium version if you want it to move a little bit faster, if you want to have additional tools. I use the free version and it works really well for me. It solved my problem of searching, so now I'm able to actually type in, into this box up above and search my email within seconds versus typing something into Outlook, walking away for 10 minutes, then coming back to see my search populated, and then I realize I spelled something wrong, and so I have to start all over again. So it's a great tool. So how many of you use Gmail? Okay. Same exact tool, different company. Reportive is the name of it. So same exact tool. It has the same exact uses for it, just a different company that produced this tool for Gmail. So if you go to reportive.com, from there what you'll be able to do is load a plugin into your Gmail. Any questions there? Okay, so how many of you have servers at your office? A couple of you? Okay. How many of you have heard of Dropbox? Okay. How many of you use Dropbox? Lots of you, great. So this is one of the things that has come into the world of real estate in the last couple of years, where a lot of us operate as agents. We don't have an infrastructure like servers and such to keep our files on. And a few years ago, I was looking at spending nearly $10,000 to get a server installed in my office so that I can have access to my files anywhere I go. And so Dropbox is one of the most convenient ways that's out there in the world today. One of several now, but is the most popular, of saving files somewhere in the cloud that you can access from anywhere. So let me give you an example. So let's say I have a lot of files and I work at multiple computers. So for instance, I work on my iPad, I work on my iPhone, I work at my computer at the office, I have a computer at home. So there's 4 devices that I have that currently aren't tied together. So what if I'm at home and I need a file from my office? What do? I have to drive to the office to pull up that file off of my computer. So the solution has been, we need a server of some sort. Well, that's become, the cost for a server where you can store everything and then load it has become way too high. So Dropbox is the solution for it. Dropbox is a cloud where you pretty much store your files onto this cloud and you're able to pull up those files from anywhere you're at. So you could be on the other side of the world and you can pull up that file. I could be at home pulling up the same files and saving it, and then seeing that change at my office computer. I could have the file on my iPad that I can modify, save, and it'll be available at my office computer. I can then take my files and share them or give permissions so that other people can share them. Then I can also send links to people that says, hey, here's the access to this file. download it from Dropbox, and I can send a link there. But this is a great tool, works really, really well. It's really helped my business. So, you know, I travel and present a lot of classes throughout the country. You know, I always worry that what if my computer breaks or what if something happens and I'm not able to pull up my PowerPoint presentation. It's really solved that problem for me, that I know once I save it to Dropbox, wherever I am, if my technology is not working, I can pull it off the server and it's there. So it's a great thing for also sharing files with various people. I know a lot of agents have now said, you know, all my transaction management happens on Dropbox, so all of my files are up there, and I can email the links directly to other agents as well. So it works very well. So how many of you have heard of Slide Dial? Okay. How many of you actively use it? I use it every single day. And this is one of the best tools that's out there. So let me give you an example. How many of you have that annoying client that you have to call and that keeps you on the phone asking them stupidest questions? Every single conversation, which should be 30 seconds, ends up being an hour. I had one of those yesterday where after I was done on the phone, I said to myself, I should have just slide dialed. I shouldn't have actually called them. But, so what slide dial is you call this number, 267 slide dial. What it'll say is, thanks for calling slide dial. Who do you want to slide dial? You put in, let's say, my cell phone. What will happen after that is, after a short commercial, which is roughly about 30 seconds, you'll be forwarded directly to my voicemail. You can leave a voicemail message, you hang up, then my phone's just going to come up and say you have a voicemail. And that's it. You don't actually have to talk to your client. And you know, some people don't like the way that works, but it's one of the best things that's out there. I know that several people slide dial me because some people use it on a regular basis. Don't use it on a regular basis because someone's going to start wondering something's going on. But it's a great way of, if you just have to leave a voicemail message, you know, especially if you're on the road, for instance, and instead of texting someone, you just want to leave them a short message, this is a great tool. So I encourage you to use it. It's a huge time saver for me. There's no more of this, you know, well, what's the feedback from yesterday's showing, or what's the feedback from the showing that happened 10 minutes ago, you know, when I'm trying to set up a showing with a client of mine. It's very, very easy and very useful tool, at least for my business. Okay, who's heard of Shoeboxed? Who uses Shoeboxed? Okay, so one of the things that I always say is that I'm really good at selling real estate. I'm really bad at, you know, the business end of things sometimes, and that is with receipts and such. And my CPA hates me for it. You know, when I have to send her an email like I did last night saying, I'm sorry, I won't be filing by April 15th. Please file an extension for me. And that is because, you know, and this is, you know, I have other reasons for doing that today, but it used to be because I never could get my receipts in order. So what Shoebox is, it's a great program. You go on their website, you sign up, and they will send you their envelopes. And what you do is you pretty much put the envelopes, inside the envelopes, you pretty much put your receipts, all the receipts for your business, and you mail it out to them within about 3 to 5 days. The receipts all show up on shoebox.com. You can put them in whatever categories those receipts belong to. And then at the end of the year, you can print off a report of all your expenses and all your receipts. It'll save the copies of the receipts, so you can print those off. You can print whatever reports you want, and it's really easy to use. Their website is dummy-proof. I use it to this day, so once a month I stuff the envelope with all my receipts. Then it takes me roughly 15 minutes to go in and put which category it belongs into. And then I can print a report at the end of the month that says, here's what you spent last month. And I can keep track of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years of my expenses. You can then have various categories of, you know, how much did I spend on marketing last year and see that number? Or how much did I spend with a specific company and see that number? So it's very easy to use. You can export it into QuickBooks if you use QuickBooks. Great tool, makes it a lot easier so that you're not sitting there doing a ton of data entry. All right, who's heard of Zosh.com? It's actually an app that's out there. It's an app that's currently you can use on iPhone, iPod Touch, or your iPad. But it's an app that you can load in a PDF document, and you can have someone signing that document with your finger, or with their finger, and then you can export it and email it out to someone. Very easy, and there's a ton of apps that are like this. Zosh has been around, they've been around the longest amount of time. But when you're out there with a client and you need them to sign a document, and sometimes what I've done is I've said, all right, here's the document, here's my iPhone. They actually sign it with their finger, and I can email it out, and I'm done with it. So it's been a very great tool, very easy to use as well. And it's an app that costs $2.99. Yes?
Is there an Android version of that?
It's coming. But there's several other programs that are out there that do the same thing there for Android. So this is the easiest one. This is the dummy-proof one that I found. There are free ones out there as well, but I found things that I didn't like about them. So they're fine, but this is the one that I use. Part of it is because it's on my phone already. But you know, even documents for myself when I need to sign a disclosure agency relationship because I'm out of the office and my assistant needs it so we can submit an offer, it's very easy. I can sign it with my finger there, email it out to her, and it's done. As well as signing contracts when you're with someone, you have a PDF, you've already prepared the contract, and it's there and you just need them to sign it. They can do it on your iPad or on your iPhone. So it's very easy to use. It's a great tool. All right, how many of you use Google Voice? So what Google Voice is, it's one of the things that I use. So I have a Google Voice account that also gives me a phone number, 734-926-8383 is my main line into the office. And so what Google Voice does, it's a free service that's out there through Google. It's my main line to my office. It is my call answering system. So Google Voice, what ends up happening in my office is when my phone rings, so when someone dials 734-926-8383, my assistant's phones ring all at the same time, and whoever picks up the phone first talks to the person. Or they could ring, to my cell phone. So let's say on weekends, I have a different person that covers my phones that can go to that line. I just have to set it up. So those of you who work in offices that have multi-lines and have these expensive phone systems out there, this cures the problem for the small real estate agent who has a small team, or it just wants, their phone calls to go elsewhere. So for your average day-to-day agent, the nice thing that's about it, if you go out of town and someone's covering your business, you're not going to get calls on your cell phone. You can just forward that number goes to whoever's covering your business. So you can just forward that line. You can have that it goes to several people at that point, or it goes to Google Voicemail, which is one of the things that I use Google Voice for is for Google Voicemail, and that is because when someone leaves me a voicemail message through Google Voice, an email goes out to me and my entire team, so all of my admin staff, and it gives a transcription of what that voicemail is. So instead of you getting finding a time to, check your voicemail messages, you have a transcription of what that voicemail said. It also sends you a file so that you can actually listen to the voicemail as well if you click on it in your email. And it's very easy to use, so that way, like I'm sure a lot of you are like myself, I hate voicemail more than anything else in this world. Checking voicemail is the most annoying thing for my business. But what this does is it really just makes it a lot easier, as well as emailing you the voicemail message. It can text it to you as well. So you have it in a text message, so if you're in a meeting like this, right now you could check your voicemail and see what the voicemails are. You can also say, all right, this voicemail isn't for me, so I can forward it on to one of my assistants, Or I can say, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, you need to listen to this voicemail message I received from the other agent and say, here's the information I received, there are multiple offers on this property, here's the voicemail that I got, so that they believe you more, just because in this market people are so not believing you there are multiple offers on properties. The way Google Voice makes its money is you can make phone calls through Google Voice. You can make international calls that are very cheap. So I've actually never paid Google Voice any money. It's just a free service that works very well for me. Questions? Okay. How many of you use Mint.com? Great. So Mint.com is your chief financial officer. That's the way I call it. So my business isn't big enough for me to have a person who's looking at my budgets every month and saying, all right, you've spent too much money on this, you've had this much money come in, but you've spent that much money. What are you doing? How are you doing this? So what Mint.com is, it's pretty much an easy budgeting system. So if you get a Mint.com account, you can load in so that it checks all of your banks for your balances. It checks all your credit cards. You can put your retirement account in there or an investment account. You can put in your car loans in there, credit cards, all the things that are out there that, money that you're paying, money that you're getting, you can load it into Mint.com, and it's very easy to set up. And at that point, what you can do is, based on some history, you can from that point set up, your budgets. Mint.com tries to set a budget up for you based on your previous expenses and how much money you're bringing in, but you can actually set up your own budget so that you know how much money you're spending on marketing, so that you know how much money you're spending on your staff, if you have staff, or on various tools that are out there. As well as you can keep track of your income, so you can know that such and such percentage of my income comes in the spring, summer, winter, whatnot. So it's an easy budgeting tool. The reason I use this, and one of the best tools that I use it for, is a couple years ago someone asked me, so how much money do you make? I didn't have a clue. I know that money comes in, I know money goes out, and I have a pretty decent life, and I'm happy with it, but I had no idea how much money I was making. So I guess the question is, how many of you know how much money you truly are making? Very few of you, because money's coming in, money's going out, and that's the one thing I found out in the world of real estate, is that people just don't know how much money they make. And so this tool actually gives me, at the end of the year, I can run a report and I can actually see, all right, this is how much money I made. And my CPA likes these reports because she can actually, look at all this data and figure out how I got to my numbers. So great tool, consider using it. And it's free. Who here tracks their miles? Diligently? Every single day? Okay, great. Not a lot of you. And this is just, the last thing I want to be doing when I'm out on the road is tracking my miles. So this is an app for your phone. This is the link to it down here. It's on your sheet. It's $2.99, and this is one of those tools that works extremely well because you don't have to track your miles. It's not like you have to enter, I started at this mileage, I ended at this mileage. So this app, it's very easy to use because it's GPS based. So what it knows is that I just go on my phone, I click start. I end at my location, I click stop. It tells me how many miles I've gone. I can then say this was to go visit a house at 123 Main Street. And I'm done. It tracks all the mileage for me. So every single time I start somewhere and I end somewhere, all I have to do is I have to remember to go into this app and click on the stop and the start button, and then I enter what I was doing, and I'm done. And then at the end of the year, or every month, or however long, this app will tell you how many miles you've traveled, where you've gone, so you can really do a very good track of your miles and actually produce a true record of here's where I was, and here's exactly how I drove, and it gives you a true report for that. So it's a great tool for those of you who track your miles. If you don't, you should be. I've had several colleagues of mine get audited because of this. Yes? Yeah. Now, if you stop by, if they're following you and they went for lunch and you went for lunch and then you're meeting at another house, I'd stop it. But if you were on a 5-house tour, 10-house tour, just keep it going the entire time because technically you're working and that's mileage that you should write off. So this is always a controversial thing when I'm presenting because I recommend a product that costs money and there's free products out there. So there are times that I need to access my office computer when I'm at home because for some reason I accidentally saved a file on my desktop and didn't save it to Dropbox and I need to access that file, or sometimes I have to log into Outlook for whatever reason on my computer at the office versus the Outlook that I have at home. So this is a tool called Go to My PC. It's very easy to use, and that's why I recommend it. It's $99 a year. Log Me In is another free tool that's out there that a lot of people use. I found it to be sometimes not the greatest tool that's out there. So I'm endorsing Go to My PC just because it's a great program. But what happens as soon as you start an account with Go to My PC, what you're able to do is you download an application on your desktop computer at the office, and then let's say I'm at home, I can go to mypc.com, I can log into my account, click on my office computer, and it pulls up my office computer for me. So I can see my computer screen from the office at home, and I can do whatever I need to do, then I can log out, and I'm done. So great tool if you ever need to access your computer from the office or a home computer at the office. You can use this tool, very easy to use. Oftentimes what I do is, sometimes I need to print large files and I don't want to log up to print at the office, so what I'll do is I'll log in and I'll log in at 11 o'clock at night and I'll click print, and when I walk into the office that morning, my brochures or whatever I printed at the office, and it's there. So that's one of the uses for it. Jeff?
Is there a limit to how many computers you can put in, or is it, can your whole team use it for the whole team?
My whole team, so the fee is for one computer, so they can log into one computer at a time. But, my team can log into that same computer.
Okay.
So
your 3 buyer agents can log into your main.
correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yes.
Will that work like from your tablet out back to get into our MLS system?
Yes, it will. So you can, and actually, you guys use ML Exchange. I use ML Exchange as well in Ann Arbor. So for the longest time on my iPad, I've logged into Go to My PC, which has an app for your iPad and for your iPhone, and I can access the MLS from there.
Now, the next question is, of course, back to the service. You're remote out here. Have you noticed any difference, like on your actual tower service?
It's slightly slower, but it all depends on where you are and how much. So if you're in a spot and you're connected to Wi-Fi and it's a great Wi-Fi signal, works great. Mobile, if you're in a 4G area, works great. 3G,
Not there yet, all right.
not there yet. Yes.
Same kind of question as before, so I can go to that from my Apple and use the ML Exchange from my desktop?
Correct. Yeah. Those of you who use ML, well, all of you use ML Exchange because that's the MLS here. There's a new Apple tool that's coming out soon, or a new tool that's coming out soon that you'll be able to access via Apple and multi-browser. That's going to be coming out next year, so stay tuned for that. But for right now, this has been my shorter-term solution.
No Droid, I mean, they come out with the Apple, usually there's the Droid face behind it. Is that coming?
It's coming.
But
Yep.
another year yet.
Well, it was supposed to be out last year,
Oh, okay.
so who knows? Okay, fillanypdf.com. So how many of you get a PDF file that, or actually any form that you have to fill out, but instead of going to a typewriter and sitting there typing it out, you wish you could just do it on your computer? Well, that's your solution here. Fillanypdf.com. You log on, you create an account, you load in the PDF document or create a PDF out of a form that you received. You upload the page and you can draw on it, you can fill it in with words, you can choose what size text you want to fill in the form. So you can pretty much fill out that form, export it, and it'll export it to a PDF document. You can print it out, you can email it to other people. It just makes it very easy. So if you have messy handwriting or you need this form to be typed out, and it's not one of those PDF forms that you can actually type into, this is a great tool for it, and it's a free service. Yes?
With Zosh? Is it Zosh?
Yeah.
Are you able to do that same thing?
with your, not with your finger, but with your mouse.